Hector Bravo Unhinged. Chaos is now in session.
Welcome back to our channel's Warriors. We are still growing. Today, another special guest on the Hector Bravo Unhinged channel, none other than Scott Broman, a former C number. That's Charlie from the California Department of Corrections, is here to tell his story. What up, Scott? How's it going, dude?
It's going great. I came by and I wanted to kind of give a perspective other than what we normally see on convict podcasts.
The OG perspective.
The OG perspective.
The C number, Charlie number, man. Those things are all non-existent anymore. A thing of the past, I should say.
Yeah, they really are. Well, at the end of my state term, I would always trip out because by the time I got done, there were HH and whatever. I mean, they were so far through the alphabet. You know, it took 20 years to get rid of A numbers and another 10 or 15 for Bs and 15 for Cs.
So where are you from?
I was born and raised in Encino, California, down in San Fernando Valley, basically. Right. Raised from what most people would consider a middle-class environment, good schools, you know, normal stuff until the parents get divorced. And then that creates, you know, drama where I was going back and forth between playing each parent off the other. If my mother wouldn't give me what I want, I'd go to my father's. My father to my mother's. But my neighborhood was filled with celebrities, doctors, lawyers, etc., and a lot of people in the entertainment industry. So there was this core group of kids that I hung out with, and we were kind of the misfits. Our parents were either out of the country or they weren't paying attention. I don't know if they call them helicopter parents, but they just weren't around. So we were like, we were the little idiots running around the neighborhood.
That like the Menendez brothers' parents type of upbringing?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you just didn't, there was really no hands-on parenting.
Okay.
And they weren't paying attention. So we were, you know, going out in the middle of the night and stealing bikes and malicious mischief, breaking stuff. And one day we ended up stealing a car and just doing stupid stuff.
Right.
You know, we weren't like violent. We weren't trying to terrorize anybody. We were just wild kids.
From your experience, looking back in hindsight, what type of approach of parenting do you think would be more beneficial? Hands-on, hands-off, or a mixture of both?
It's got to be a mixture. Hands-on enough to lead, and then hands-off enough to allow your kid to explore. And,
Excellent.
you know, when I was a kid, we'd ride bikes. You know, we'd leave at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Might come home for lunch, might not. Sun goes down, you're home. But I think as long as, and this is actually a perspective that I have on me, as far as how I made it through juvenile hall, youth authority, CDC, the feds, is parenting. My parents didn't get divorced till I was 8. So I had a solid moral foundation until I was 8 years old. You know, I was taught which spoon to use, which fork to use. I had to go to school, all that good stuff. My world didn't really blow up till I was 8, but I believe in, if you want to educate kids, or for lack of a better word, train kids, that foundation from birth to 5, 6, 7 is so, so important, because now you can go out and function in the world. You know, in some cultures, by the time you're 8 years old, you're out working and you know, bringing home the bread. So I think that there's a difference in having that structure and having no structure as a child.
I also agree, though, because I separated from my wife a little over a year ago, and that we are not in the same household, but we are still holding that foundation together for our daughter.
You have to. That's the most important thing in the world. Once you have that child for the next 18 years, her well-being is the most important thing, no matter what the struggle is.
Right. When did you start finding yourself getting in trouble with the law and landing in Los Angeles County Jail?
Well, the county jail, I went through juvenile hall, I went through California Youth Authority, YTS, you know, gladiator school. I went through it all. But the first time I was in the county jail was, I got arrested June 19th, 1981. Shootout. I escaped from Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills cops grabbed me. And when they're transporting me, the feds want me too. So the Beverly Hills cops are transporting me to the federal building on Wilshire. And it was June 19th, 1981, 5 o'clock at night. and I'm in a crime suppression unit, undercover cop. So this is a Z28 Camaro, 2 sergeants in the back, a lieutenant driving. And if you can picture where this busy intersection of Wilshire Boulevard and Veteran, where the federal building is, I'm handcuffed in front because my attorney's following behind us.
Okay.
So I popped the door open. I was watching the lights, and there was no cars, but popped the door open, roll out onto Wilshire Boulevard. The guys in the back can't get out. It's still, you got to reach up and push the seat up.
Where in the vehicle? Where were you seated?
I was in the front passenger seat.
You were in the front passenger, riding
front
shotgun.
Passenger, riding shotgun. Lieutenant's driving it. No way am I going to do anything stupid because my attorney's following.
Right.
But I got a ton of money and dope up at my house that doesn't belong to me that they didn't find.
Okay.
So anyway, I roll out onto Wilshire. I escape from them. I end up getting to a girlfriend of mine's house who gets a hacksaw, cuts a hat.
You made it. You
Oh yeah, I made it until, I don't know if you want to hear this whole thing, but this is literally my first arrest that got me in a county jail. So I don't know if you know that area, but there's a veterans, the federal building, and then there's a veterans mortuary. Well, I hid in the groundskeeper shack in the mortuary while I saw the helicopters doing the grid search and all this stuff. I come out when it gets dark, literally right across the street from there. I had a girlfriend of mine that ran a club. She was getting ready to go to work. She cuts the handcuffs off, and I had stolen cars parked all over L.A. So, and I was also getting ready to get married to a girl. So I ended up getting together with my future fiancée. But we got in a fight. She's living up in Bel Air at Beverly Sassoon's house in a guest house I'd never been to before. Well, she takes me to pick up one of the stolen cars, and we ate, and I'm trying to figure out so I escaped. Now what?
Right.
So I'm following her to what I think is going to be a safe haven, this guest house up on Roscoe-Mare in Bel Air. Well, unbeknownst to me, the Beverly Hills cops had gone to my mother's house.
Okay.
And my mother had written my girlfriend's new address on a piece of paper. And my mother had written Patty, Scott's girlfriend, on Roscoe-Mare. So Beverly Hills cops get that. We're coming up Roscoe-Mare. Patty's in front of me in her car. I'm in a stolen 450 SL. And it's one of these horseshoe drives. Well, when she pulls up into the driveway, I had actually overshot it. All of a sudden, I hear her screaming. And I'm like, what the fuck? And she's going, help me, help me. So I back down, start going up the driveway, and the next thing, the car just starts exploding.
What do you mean?
These cops are just dumping on me. I'd embarrassed them. I was in their custody. They were taking me to be interviewed by the feds, and I escaped from them. So they're like, they want to kill my ass. So they're just letting off 45 rounds. Boom, 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 boom. My dumb ass, I just put my hand on the wheel, ducked down, barreled down the driveway. As bullets are coming through the back, one of them came through the dashboard up over in the corner, and it had lost so much velocity going through the window and then the cushion in the dash, and it hit me in the shoulder and bounced off. The 45 round. I'll never forget this. It was in the console of the car, and I literally grabbed it and put it in my mouth like it was some kind of, I don't know. It was just like, they're not going to fucking, I'll eat their shit. Anyway, I shoot down the street in this totally, I don't know what it looks like at this point. Completely shot out fucking car. Driving like a maniac. I could have killed somebody. I mean, if somebody would have stepped out in front or whatever the case may be. When I get to the Bel Air West Gate, there's a traffic cop there writing a ticket. And he just he gives this look like, what the fuck? Because I had a huge lead on the undercover cops that were up at the house. I ended up getting on the freeway, going down to the South Bay. I stop at a gas station. This is before cell phones, to get on the phone, and I look at the car, and it's a red 450 SL Mercedes. And, the bullet goes in that big, but then it takes the paint off that big. Yeah. So it's like the Bonnie and Clyde car. It's only by the grace of God that I didn't get killed that night. Anyway, to make a long story shorter, at the end of the day, I end up running around, and I'm trying to go to friends' houses, and I'm just trying to land somewhere so I can think. And I call my attorney up, and he says, you got to turn yourself in or you're dying tonight. I go, he goes, they're going to kill you.
In order for them to utilize deadly force, there has to be a deadly force criteria met.
One would think, wouldn't one? Well, here's the story of the cops' end. That when I pulled up in the driveway, I tried to run one of them over. Assault with a deadly weapon.
I'm glad you clarified that, man.
And then they, when I was backing away, when I was retreating, and the funny thing is, the judge when he just, I mean, come on, you know how they are. I had 47 charges. You know what I mean? And the judge said at the preliminary hearing, as he started just throwing charges out, because he knew the cops, everybody was, I mean, the cops got up there, just lied their ass off. And the judge said, from the moment Mr. Brome entered the driveway on Roscoe Mare until he effectuated his escape, he was the victim of an attempted murder. He was not committing any crime other than self-preservation.
Correct.
So at the end of the night, so I get on the phone with my attorney, and he's like, hey, Patty's in jail. They've taken her into custody. She's at West L.A. They're hunting you down, and they're just going to kill you. If Beverly Hills is first on you, you're going to die. So you're going to have to turn yourself in. I'm like, dude, I just got done escaping with handcuffs and turn myself out. Are you fucking nuts? And he goes, your girlfriend's in jail.
Yeah.
And she comes with like blue blood Texas money. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. At that point, I was in the San Fernando Valley. So I get on the 405, and I'm going to turn myself in. There's it used to be a Holiday Inn, at Sunset and the 405. I said, okay, I'll turn myself in at the Holiday Inn. And I asked my attorney, how long will it take you to get there? Because I'm not going to get there before you do. He said, 20 minutes. So I kill some time. I'm coming over the 405, and some chippies light me up. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm not pulling over. So I let them chase me all the way into the Round Holiday Inn at Sunset in the 405. And there was one of these airport crew vans dropping off. And behind them, I see all these cops. So I just stopped dead in the driveway, put my hands out the windows, and I go, hey, they're going to kill me. They're going to go, well, my name's Scott. Anyway, I'm trying to get their attention. So we had citizens watching. It was before, before cameras and all this other stuff. So they take me into custody. They don't kick my ass because there's too much, my attorney's there and everything else. They take me to the Beverly Hills jail, which is the sweetest fucking place. Even then, before I understand they've redone it. So they take me to the jail. I see my girl for a minute. I said, you got to let her go. That was the deal. She didn't do a fucking thing. And they're basically like, yeah, fuck you. Aiding and abetting.
Okay. So
we're in jail. I'm on this row. She's on that row. We're the only ones in the jail. It's Beverly Hills jail. They don't. Until Monday morning, when every brother and Mexican that had been in Beverly Hills was brought in for bullshit. You know what I mean? Beverly Hills is the most racist. If you're
why would it be Monday morning?
Well, what I mean is I got there Friday night. Over the weekend, you're going to go to arraignment on Monday. So they would pick up every brother, every Hispanic, everybody that didn't look like they belonged in Beverly Hills. They just lock them up for bullshit.
Okay.
And then they kick them all loose Monday morning. But Saturday night, the jailer comes over to him, and he brings me a bunch of candy and cigarettes and bullshit. And he goes, here, your girl got this for you. And he said, you have a huge lawsuit. He said the LA County Sheriff's shooting team was downstairs. They got the car. He said, they tried to kill you. And he goes, I hope you got a good attorney. He says, I know what happened. He said, and the shooting team told Beverly Hills, you guys are fucked. Anyway, so now I go to LA County Jail for the first time.
But how did that make you feel as a man that they attempted to take your life?
Oh, I was madder than hell.
Oh, you were mad? You were upset?
Oh, absolutely. Because there was no justification. Yeah, I was pissed. You know what I mean? And because they were also so fucking disrespectful. And it wasn't the cops. Like, I respect cops that are dudes. You know what I mean? That are about something.
Right.
That aren't the Barney Fifes. You know what I mean? What everybody says, oh, they got picked on in school.
Right.
Like Stephen Miller at the White House. The little nerds. But these guys were just so fucking disrespectful. And then throughout the next year and a half, when I would go to, every time I'd be down in the attorney room, Beverly Hills cops would be there, they'd be looking at me and pointing and
No
shoot.
way.
Oh yeah.
Did you grow
In the-
resentment towards them?
Towards them, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there were two of them that I just absolutely hated because they were just shit talkers and you know how when you first get arrested, like even with the feds are like, oh, you're going to jail for 100 years. You know, they're like, oh, we got so many charges on you, we're gonna bury you under the jail, which didn't happen. But when I get to LA County, I'd been involved in some stuff that I didn't even know I was involved. I'll give you an example. There was a huge investigation at that time for what they called the Wonderland killings, which was John Holmes, the porn star. They made a couple of great movies about it. But what it was a drug ripoff. John Holmes was this huge porn star back in the day, and there was a house on Wonderland Drive. And anyway, the guys that were involved in the murder were huge. Abdul Nasrallah, Eddie Nash, and a guy named Gregory Dials. I think they're both dead now. But this huge investigation, but unbeknownst to me, months earlier, the feds had been, LAPD, Major Crimes Task Force, whatever they call themselves, were watching Eddie Nash's house. And I went there a couple of times to score dope or for a party or whatever the case may be. And I had another girlfriend that worked for some guy on in Beverly Hills. Turns out he was a huge mob bookie. So, and then when I got arrested, the morning when I escaped, the feds had come up and they told this Lieutenant Hunt, I think his name was, from Beverly Hills PD, as they're tearing my house up, they're cussing at this cop going, we've been investigating this fucker for 97 days. What the fuck? There's no communication. You guys are just going to come up here and fuck up 90 days worth of work? Which is why I was being taken from Beverly Hills to the feds that day.
So because of your upbringing, your race, your parents, you were kind of partying with like bigwigs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no,
that's not a normal experience. That is a unique experience. Not everybody gets to party with those types of people.
Yeah, but you know what? I've also partied in the hoods. And my point is hanging out, having a good time, drinking, doing whatever you do. Sometimes those places, it's fake as fuck.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
These aren't real people.
Correct.
There's a couple of real people, and then someone else. You know, I laugh sometimes at these people that like sneak into the nice clubs because they saved up their money to get a fake Louis Vuitton bag and fake. So I like real people.
Me too.
But did I get to hang out with some amazing people? Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, that's my entree to LA County Jail. And now they don't know what the fuck. When you go to classification, they don't know what the fuck to do with me. I got an address, a Beverly Hills address. They know from intelligence and everything, the sheriff's LAPD and whatever, that I've been around these other people. So I'm basically what they call a UFO. You know, my very first, it's called a jail report card at LA County Jail, a JRC, said involved in Los Angeles organized crime circles. They didn't identify anything. They just said that's what it was. Which was, in retrospect, was a huge blessing. Because I'm not even 21 yet. I'm 20. I got busted June 19th, 1981. I didn't turn 21 until the next month.
But was that an accurate statement? Involved in organized crime circles?
Unbeknownst to me.
Okay, so it was
It wasn't. Yeah, it was. I did know. I mean,
that wasn't
later
your
on,
intent.
that was not my intent. No, you can be, if you go to a party in LA, hell, San Diego.
Right.
You could go to a place. I've been down here, and I ended up at a house with a bunch of cartel guys about 10 years ago. You know?
But you're saying in the eyes of the law, they would have ringed you in as, hey,
absolutely,
an associate of
absolutely
this cartel.
And then the crazy thing is, so I go to High Power. And High Power is where all the at that time, if you were in High Power, you were there because you were a celebrity over on F or G row, which was basically like protective custody, but it's not like they're rats. They're just there because everybody's going to take advantage of them. And then you had A, B, C, D, and E row, and that was all gangsters. It was all shot callers for the brand, shot callers for the Black Gorilla family, shot callers for The Crips. That's
year
when
was
Big
this?
Tookie was there. 1981, July of 1981.
Okay.
And you had, I don't know if you heard the story, Big Tookie Reese, who they
Yeah.
ended up killing on death row eventually.
Tookie Williams.
Tookie Williams, Reese. I'm thinking of Tootie Reese. There was a huge coke gangster named Tootie Reese back in those days. Yeah, Tookie. So here I'm on C row with all these gangsters, and I'm the
Hey,
young
Warriors, if you haven't already signed up for our all-new website, HectorBravoShow.com, make sure you sign up at the link below, HectorBravoShow.com, to watch explicit, uncensored, never-before-seen prison footage. With that, love you. Keep pushing forward.
And I'm obviously intimidated. I don't even know what the whole feeling. Thank God I'd been to Youth Authority. So that gave me a little bit of cred. And I'd been to YTS. I wasn't at like fucking, Camp fucking Snoopy. But they kind of embraced me. Number one, because they knew, we all share our paperwork. So they knew I'd, been in this, it's not a shootout. I was in this attempted murder on me.
I like how you call it a shootout. You clarified everything.
Right. Yeah, well, it wasn't really a shootout. But
It was one way. The one-way
yeah,
range.
one way. Yeah. So
Did you have a firearm when the cops were
No.
lighting your ass up?
no, they found a Uzi and about 9,000 rounds of ammunition up at my house.
Oh, okay.
That I just
Okay.
traded. I never used the fucking thing.
So there you are showing your paperwork. You're like, damn, look, this motherfucker's the real deal.
Right.
And then what happened?
And I was young.
Right.
So they wouldn't allow the big homies
Yeah.
would not allow me to be taken advantage of. I got my props. I was going out to visiting. They saw I got a beautiful girlfriend. It's somewhere back in someone's mind, they were probably going, oh, yeah, we're going to use this one. We're going to work this dude. But that never happened.
Strategy, chess.
Yeah.
The big picture.
So I went through that whole thing, and I think it was about 15 months. Turned out to be nothing. You know what I ended up going to prison for?
What?
Receiving stolen property. They found a stolen car up at my house after they went back up there.
They didn't charge you with the escape?
No, it all got thrown out. That's what I
didn't-
said.
oh, it all got
no,
thrown
the
out.
judge that was thrown out at the prelim.
To include the allegedly attempting to run over police officers.
Yeah. No, they trashed. Oh, are you kidding? They threw that out in a minute. Well, unbeknownst to me, there was something else that happened. When they were shooting, and there were like cops lined up down the street as I'm driving this way, it turns out they shot out the city attorney's bathroom window. Bert Pines was a city attorney at the time. So Beverly Hills probably paid a shitload of money on civil suits over that. And I was always told I should sue. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out and sue the guys that carry guns that hate me already. That just wasn't a smart thing to do.
Right.
So anyway, that was my entree to CDC. And so when I leave the LA County Jail, high power, where now I've been schooled by all these dudes, now I go straight to Palm Hall. Because Palm Hall, they read my shit because I'm coming out, when you get off the bus, you're in cages, up in the front. Now, I guess everybody's in cages now. But back in those days, when you pull up on the Grey Goose, you were in a cage, you went immediately to, a holding cell, straight to Palm Hall. They gave you a TV, and that was your program. And that's where, again, I got a lot of education from, because there were Brand on the tier, the MA on the tier. Across from us, Palm Hall has 4 yards.
But
there's a tower in the center.
as far as inmate politics, right? Were you aware of the politics? Did you have any desire to involve yourself in the politics?
No, I didn't. And I was fortunate. I don't know if you know who Bobby Crane. Do you know who ever heard Bobby Crane? Bobby Crane's a shot caller in the Aryan Brotherhood, has been for years. I think he's still alive. His brother, Richie Crane, no good. But I knew the politics, but I didn't have any respect for it. I didn't see it as I didn't think I needed it to survive. And I was probably full of myself. But like on the tiers there, we only interact out on the yard. And that was before you had all the fucking, Marine or Navy SEAL calisthenics and stuff. You went out, you played handball, you talked shit, you ate your lunch. But I was, so there was no pressure like going out to, and we used to be able to go out there we went like 3 times a week, 4 or 5 hours. but there was never anybody trying to indoctrinate me, and say, hey, whatever. And I think it's because I was so fucking young. And I wasn't, even though I'd been to youth authority, I never got any ink. So I never, and I call that, it's kind of a disrespect. One thing I've learned is most people that do the face tattoos, they're either uglier than hell and or an insecure. And that could come from their upbringing, whatever. But I call it Revlon makeup. It's to intimidate people. To go, if I'm going to look this fucking crazy.
And that's your perception?
That's always been my perception.
Okay.
I have never met too many serious. Now, after the fact, these kids, when they end up, diving in the ink and whatever, there have been some that are absolute killers. But when it first started,
are you pertaining only to the gangsters that tats their face, or like if you have a attractive female and she puts a little cross or something?
No. See, tattoos today are totally. I'm actually talking.
Correct.
Your audience and people today, even you're 20 years, 30 years younger than me. Back in the day, tattoos were an anomaly in public.
Oh, correct.
Absolutely, they're not today. It's art and it's respected, and people aren't looked down. You can get a job if you're, you know what I mean?
Correct, yeah.
In those days, though, pretty much the only people that got tattoos were bikers and homies and
gang members,
gang
facts.
guys. Yeah,
that's a fact.
But it didn't really get crazy with the face stuff until probably the early 90s.
Right. No, okay, cool. I just wanted to clarify, right? Because, I hear what you're saying.
No,
There was a young Sureño that tattooed his upper lip when I was a brand new young CO. I said, why would you do that, man? I said, what kind of job are you going to get with
exactly
that? He said, a porter. And I was 22 years old, so I was just having a hard time grasping my new reality of prison.
No, it's and I got a huge soft spot in my heart for gangsters, young Sureños, Norteños, Crips, Bloods, because the most amazing, heart-wrenching things that I dealt with in LA County Jail and later on in prison was watching these kids come in at 18 years old, or they were 15, and then they decided to send them to adult court, and then the minute they turn 18, they bring them over, they put them in high power. And I got to know so many kids, and now they're not like completely surrounded by the homies. And in high power, cells right next to each other, you can literally look through the crack in the bar and have a real conversation so everybody on the tier doesn't hear it. And I met so many young gangsters that threw their entire fucking life away because the 8th grade kid told them what life was supposed to be about and put a gun in his hand. And I mean, the 8th grade education.
So utilize this experience, utilize this moment right now to give that analogy. When I was asking you about hey, do these people glorify prison, gang life?
Right.
And utilize this time right now.
So when Hector and I were talking earlier, I said, there's too many 8th graders that are giving their interpretation of life and what it's supposed to be to someone with a 4th grade education. It doesn't necessarily mean it could be a 27-year-old.
Correct.
That's only got an 8th grade education, and he's trying to school a 19-year-old that's only got a 4th grade education. And due to the unfortunate circumstances of your economic background, where you were raised, you never really got a chance to be educated. So you look up to your homies or people that you perceive to be more intelligent than you, more worldly. And I watch so many kids, and it's my perception is you've got totally uneducated, unworldly human beings taking advantage of or indoctrinating younger, stupider, less intelligent, for lack of a better word, kids to come into this life and throw their entire lives away.
But you're speaking education, right?
Not just life experience.
Correct. Emotional intelligence, consequences,
absolutely,
rewards, right? Ethics, morals.
Ethics.
Hey, don't do that.
None. And if you have, and the problem is, and I come from a broken home, you got babies having babies.
Correct.
That was just the way it was. And I could go on a whole soliloquy about that. But when you have a 15-year-old girl having a child that she then resents because she can't go to the prom or she can't do this, that child ends up thrown out on the street. So now you got a bunch of kids all hanging out, and they don't get that moral, ethical structure in their lives through no fault of their own.
Let me ask you this question, man, because I authentically want to know. Who designs the moral code? The moral code by who?
That's a great question. In fact, he and I were talking about this before you came in. And I was listening to, I love Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
They're anti-government, especially with what's going on. I've been listening to it a lot. What the fuck is normal?
Correct.
And that's where, that's exactly what we were speaking about. We come out of the chute in this country, and in my time, we were taught, like, there was, Ozzie and Harriet, all these just white, middle-class, suburban bullshit life. That didn't exist anywhere. Actually, Harriet was getting beaten up by Ozzie, and Ricky was raping the girl down the street. It was this cookie-cutter life of what we're supposed to be as Americans.
Right.
And then the morals we were supposed to get from our elders or from the churches and the schools. But it all comes down to the same thing. Who's the elder that's giving you these morals? Whereas at the same time, if I was born in Afghanistan,
right,
or Italy or Bali, everything's different. So I think what we have to do is be more inquisitive as human beings and read and question and touch and feel and fuck things and then make up our own minds. Because we're born, I think, with a certain capacity to learn. Unless we're, unfortunately, we're born with some brain damage or mental incapacity, or our parents were shooting PCP.
Right.
I think we all have an ability to survive and to learn. In some cultures, when you're 8 years old, you're going out and you're going to bring the bread home. So who sets that moral standard? It's got to come from the home.
Okay.
It's got to start at the home. And if it's not mom and dad, hopefully it's aunt and uncle or grandma and grandpa. But if you don't get that, you're fucked.
Now, how primal are we as humans? And how have we either gotten away from our primal instincts or stayed the same as our primal instincts?
We've put on, I believe it's a great question. I think we put on the facade of coming out of this primalness. And, we take showers and whatever, brush our teeth, and we say please and thank you, hopefully. But if all of a sudden, I was just having this discussion the other day, if all of a sudden the lights went out, the water went out, we become those primal-ass cavemen in about fucking 72 hours.
Facts.
In about 72 hours, motherfuckers, it would be only the strong survive.
Yep.
And the weak would perish. So, yeah, we've got a couple of 100 years of brushing our teeth.
Would you define the weak? Can you define the weak in today's society? Who would most likely not make it? What are some characteristics?
Oh, my God. Every fucking kid from 25 to birth that's been stuck on their phone, that watches videos. I know doesn't matter why, I know a shit ton of rappers, okay?
Oh, yeah.
That are putting makeup on. You know what I mean? It's a friggin', we've been programmed, we're programmed by our influences, what we see, and then the algorithms, when you get into that mess. But the ones that wouldn't survive is every kid that didn't have the balls to try to train himself, to fight, to go into the military, all these little sissy-ass kids that know how to dress the dress and walk the walk, and I deal with them all the time as an old man because of what I do. And they're just a bunch of punks. As soon as you get in their face, they turn into little girls that are dressed like gangsters.
Right.
So who wouldn't survive?
Them.
80% of the population from 25 down.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
Am I?
No, you're dead or you fucking hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So when it comes to CDC, California Department of Corrections, and the CCPOA, what do you know about them and how do they intermingle?
Well, that's what I really wanted to
Let's do it, man.
have this conversation about. Because I was so, and I used to write a shitload in prison. Read and write.
Handwrite or typewriter?
My dad sent me a typewriter, but when I was in K-Wing and Tracy and couldn't get shit, I had a pencil and a pad of paper. So I watched the growth of the Department of Corrections. When I started, you had CRC, Norco, Chino, CMC, Tracy, Soledad, Vacaville, Folsom, and Quentin.
Yep.
And I think that was it. I might have missed. The Susanville. Susanville was Tehachapi. But it was only Tehachapi 1 and 2 yards. So the CAC was not nearly the monster that it became. And this actually all began with Ronald Reagan in 1968 closing down the mental hospitals.
1968?
1968. The prison growth, the prison industry, as they call it, began in 68 when Ronald Reagan shut all the state hospitals. So now you had your mental, just like we see today, all the homeless on the street.
100%.
That started in 68. Ronald Reagan, go ahead.
Now, what was the motivating factor for that? Was there money was the corruption already starting?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, God, we go for 4 hours. I think that's what's happening today, which is why Trump wants everybody broke, hungry on the street, as he wants to create a friggin' civil war. We know they're building bigger prison camps
Let's
right
go
now. But
back
anyway, let me go back to 68.
They closed down the psych wards, more likely because money was involved somewhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you got to keep the haves and the haves not thing. You know, Reagan was that type of person. The schmuck today is that type of person. So crime did not exponentially blossom from 68 to 79, 80. But that's when we had what? That's when it was more acceptable and so many women had kids, single mothers having children.
And then crack hit.
And crack came around like 80, 79, 80. But you're right, crack contributed a ton to the expansion. But the CCPOA, these guys were sharp, and they lobbied. When they first started building the new, I forget the first new prison that was built. It might have been Tehachapi 3 and 4. But the CCPOA already had a shit ton of influence in the legislature. And then the other thing was, when they went to build these prisons, where we're going to build them? We're going to build them in these, San Joaquin Valley, up and down the 5. And what can we do? Well, we can take, and this is, it's my perspective or my perception. Here's what we're going to do. We got all these gangbangers over here. We got all these crack addicts over here. We got all this white boys up in Oildale and Fresno. We want to throw them all in jail. So what are we going to do? We're going to get them all in jail, but then we're going to get their homies that had the foresight to go into the military. We're going to have job fairs. When they get out of the military, they can come work for the CDC or the LA County Sheriffs. They can guard their brothers and sisters, which is, you've probably seen, kind of what has happened.
100%. Dude, this is weird. Continue going, bro.
So, which is a huge problem on a bunch of levels. So, well, now you got the homies, big homies, telling the guards, hey, I know where your mom and dad live, so where's that cell phone again? So this created this prison expansion. And now there wasn't enough crime at about 83, 84 to justify to continue the build. So how do you do that? You create parole violations that never existed before. They literally put like 600 new parole violations on the books. So now, and I'll give you the best example. There was a guy in LA, mother dies on a Friday night. He gets the word, goes to San Diego, buries his mother down here, buries his mother the following week, goes home, tells his parole agent. He gets a 1-year parole violation for leaving the county without permission.
That's a true story.
True story.
Okay.
There's hundreds of stories like that. So they put in, first thing they did, because they needed to, because again, the crime was really not there, but there were enough parolees coming out, because that's, you're doing 1 to 3 years, 5 to whatever, coming out, that they just simply tighten the screws on what it would take to get a parole violation. And now, I don't know if this is true, but I heard this from James Beard, my CCPOA buddy that I really like. He said the reason why they give over a 4-month violation. For some reason, there were a lot of 4.5-month violations. And again, I don't know this to be a fact, but I believe it. And that's because the CDC got broke off for an entire year. Once the guy was in custody for 4 months and a day, they were allocated the money by the legislature for that body for the year. I don't know if that's a fact, but that's what
Sounds about right.
That's what I heard.
I mean, I don't put anything past anything anymore.
Yeah, it was all the politics was unbelievable. The creating the gang fights. But my problem with the CCPOA was they legislated and lobbied and spent tons of money to get all these bogus laws on the books for the parole violations to guarantee shit. They were the biggest proponents of 3 strikes that there were. And at that time, because of the media and the crack drug problem, some people could say 3 strikes was justified, but we all know it really didn't work. It was too fucking draconian.
Real quick, what exists is law enforcement, the judicial system, and correctional system. Would you agree that all 3 are necessary if utilized correctly?
Absolutely.
And what have you seen in it? How have you seen those instead be used?
They all feed off each other. They all absolutely feed off. I mean, one feeds the next, feeds. They're the homies feeding each other.
It's a fucking
circle.
machine.
Absolutely. It's a huge money making machine, and human beings. And then when you were in CDC, then they started this bullshit where we're going to send you out of state. We're going to send you to a geo facility.
Correct.
Okay. And they still do. I mean, if they.
So before we go to the geo out of state, man, here you are. They fucking closed down the psych wards. They tightened up parole violations, then the 3 strikes, and then take it away from there. What ended up happening?
Well, it became the absolute. When did you start in CDC?
I began in 2006.
2006. Okay, it was already hell by then.
They built Calipatra State Prison and Centinela State Prison around 1992, 1993.
Right-ish. Right.
So that's when the boom was happening.
Yeah, and it was happening, and that's when it got really. Prison got a shit lot. It got more violent because you had more young kids that were improperly indoctrinated, and disrespectful. You know, back in the day, you bump in a motherfucker, you say, "Excuse me." You know what I'm saying? The rules. You would ask me about, did I run with anybody? I ran with common sense, and I knew how to treat the right people with the right respect. But the growth of the prisons created also the havoc in the prisons. You know what I mean? The young skinheads and the young Sereños and the young Crips and the young Bloods that are running around on 2 and 3 yards. Now, don't get me wrong. I went to Corcoran Shoe and all this other crap, Palm Mall, but I never went to a 4. I was on 3s most of the time.
I mean, 3s are busy. 3s are busy.
Oh, there's a lot of work going on in 3s. But so it just the closing of the mental institutions, the growth of the actual facilities, and then the false stimulation with bogus parole violations, et cetera, just created the cauldron of shit that the Department of Corrections became. And it was unmanageable for you guys, for us. You got day rooms filled. There's no recreation. Weights are out the thing. No smoking, and you go out on the yard and somebody gets stabbed and now you're locked down for 3 fucking weeks. And the guy only got stabbed because both of them wanted to go to protective custody to get off the fucking yard for a dope debt. It was a slice with, like you cut yourself shaving. But it just created a mess. And it still is. Like I said, I'm out of it now.
Who's profiting and how?
Oh, my God. Wait, there. See, okay, so we have this prison expansion, San Joaquin Valley. You know as well as I do. Now you got the bag lunches. Who's profiting? That peanut butter vendor that used to fucking shuck corn in Fresno. You know what I mean? Who's now got peanut butter packets.
PIA packets.
PIA packets. The little the juice packets. The powdered.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid things. Everybody's profiting. You got guys. I had a sergeant.
Holy shit, dude!
Right? I had a sergeant tell me, a big fat dude, I can't remember his name. He was at Corcoran. He goes, you know what? I used to move furniture and make about $50,000 a year. He goes, I got 2 boats, a nice house. I'm making about $175,000 a year with overtime. Why not? Who's making the money? Everybody's making the money. You know what I mean? And if you look at those towns, if you were to drive up the 5 freeway and go into all those little areas where the prisons are now, where there used to be nothing. And now there's car dealerships and there's McDonald's and there's...
Yeah, like little outlets type of shit.
Yeah. So the whole community's making money, which is why then, I'm glad you got me on this thing. Because then what we did was now we created this whole economy in the Central Valley of thousands of people making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. You better keep feeding that beast with bodies, because if we have to close these fuckers down, homeboy's going back to the moving company and the other guy's going to be driving the Sparklets truck. You know what I mean? So who makes the money? Who doesn't make the money?
So when politicians get on camera and say, we want to rehabilitate our inmates.
They have no intention. I've been in the CCD. Well, put it this way. I started in the California Department of Corrections. There was no R at the end of the fucking thing, okay? And I haven't seen one rehabilitative program that transfers to society. You can learn how to write Apple program for a 1993 Apple computer, but it doesn't equate to shit, and there's no place making license plates. The electrical training, the fiber optics that I saw, you might be able to transfer, but there's no rehabilitation going on whatsoever.
So would you say it's a facade?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What would you say to the American people that the California Department of Correction, the rehabilitation in a nutshell is?
It's a factory making money off the unfortunate lives of kids that every vendor, everybody is profiting on. But it's kind of a necessary. Now, I can also look at the other things, kind of a necessary evil too, because good people in society don't want to see this shit, even though we see homeless people everywhere. And by this shit, I'm saying.
So would you tell a young gang member, hey, knock it off because you're about to enter a system that is going to eat you alive?
Eat you up. It ate me up. I did life on the installment plan. I started when I was 14 years old in juvenile hall, in placements, in the California Youth Authority, in camps. I did life on the...
So
dude, I had my number. I got on probation in 1974. I got off federal probation, finally everything, in 2014.
Damn, dude. So basically what you would tell a young gang member is, hey, man, you're going to bite off more than you can chew, and it's going to become a lot bigger than you real quick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the kid, you know what sucks, and you've probably seen this. Young guys that went in on a 187 on a murder when they were 18 years old.
All the time.
But if the ones that I knew well, I would say you can put murderers out on the street faster than you should have these kids that are just throwing rocks through windows and robbing people and crazy stuff. When the kids come out of the hoods at a young age and get to a prison, and now they're programming and they're going to school and they're doing the college thing that was possible back in the day. A lot of them became amazingly smart, they were already intelligent, but they'd educated themselves and they could do art or they could do music. When they didn't have the pressure of the homies, you know what I mean? And I don't care if it's the white skinheads
right.
or what. When they could be who they wanted to be. And, murder, when you go on as a murderer, once you start working your way down to like a 3, nobody expects that guy to be involved in the riots and everything because he's got to go to board. You know what I mean? And he's been an OG. He's been down for 10 years. He doesn't do shit anyway. But my point is, you say the young kids, yeah, I would absolutely tell them, stop it.
Right now, you just made a reference to a young 18-year-old that has committed murder as intelligent. How can you convey to the crowd, the audience, that, yeah, hey, some of these motherfuckers are intelligent?
Oh, my God, I've met smarter people in prison. Now, I've also met people dumber than fucking dolphins in prison.
Correct.
But I've also met some extremely intelligent, some extremely the kite system. all the crazy
Yeah.
shit you've seen coming
Right.
out of handcuffs. What do they call it when you stick the thing in the socket to light a? I forget.
Yeah,
yeah.
The
Just all
stingers
that,
and boiling
stingers,
water,
all
and
that kind of
tattoo
stuff.
guns.
Yeah.
And,
But no, there's a lot of kids. The guy that you interviewed that keeps the thing over his head, I think was in High Power with him, Enrique something.
yeah.
He's no dummy. He wasn't a dummy when he was 11, 12,
Yeah,
13,
none of these
14.
dudes are dummies.
You know what I mean? Oh, none of the shot callers are.
Yeah.
My God. No, it's the ones that they eat. The shot callers that don't care enough about
Oh,
their
you
little
just
brothers.
mentioned Boxer right now.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
here. None of these dudes. I mean, these dudes are intelligent.
Absolutely. John, oh, yeah. No. I take nothing away from them.
Right.
But when they're in that environment, they end up in a drive-by. They got life. They could have been really smart. They just happened to be in the car with the wrong guys.
Now, a civilian watching will be like, "Hey, well, normal people don't end up in drive-bys."
Those civilians are raised out in Thousand Oaks somewhere, and their kids are on a fucking skateboard, and they don't know what life outside of those burbs are. They don't know what real life is. They don't understand. They haven't been in the neighborhoods. They don't understand what lower economic neighborhoods are like or poverty is like. So fuck what they think.
If you were president of the United States, how would you tackle that? Knowing what we know, where the problem lies.
I would take all the fucking money out of corrections and about half of it out of the military. And it's not socialism. It's about bringing people up. I would throw it in these underprivileged neighborhoods. And then find people that run the programs in the neighborhoods that aren't going to steal the money and buy a Cadillac, all that
Correct,
kind of bullshit
correct.
that goes on.
Yeah, ethical people.
Yeah. But we just have to, it's almost like you have to shake the whole board up. You know what I mean? But we know prison doesn't work. It doesn't correct anything. Everything starts at home.
Okay. Now, how do you feel about the unethicalness of so-called prison leaders, CDCR secretary, getting up and bold-faced lying to the public? How do you feel about that?
Well, I was a political science major. And the first thing politicians do is lie. We see it today more than anywhere. So when you become, and I got I got to tell you a great story. Fucking warden hated my ass. These guys are all little dick suckers, and they're just kissing ass. You've seen the guys come in within 3 years. They got their sergeant stripes and their lieutenant and captain, and they're just lying to everybody. But they're manipulative enough to be able to snake their way up, and then they just have to say what the fuck they know Sacramento doesn't want us here. And Sacramento's going to tell the legislature what they want to hear. Everybody's going to tell everybody. Nobody's going to want to tell you what the fuck's really going on. And the line cops are fucked.
No, everybody in the line is fucked.
Yeah, but that's true.
Bad.
That's true.
Bad.
But no, the whole structure is fucked. And there's no way, because we live and breathe every day. There's no way to just pause everything and throw everybody out of jail and go, okay, now we're going to put the money over here. But there's got to be society has to recognize that lady out in Thousand Oaks that's going to say, oh, well, why is that kid in a drive-by? They've got to be educated.
I like that.
As much as anyone else.
I agree. Yeah, everybody should know what makes the world go round.
Absolutely. And you can't judge. Everybody likes to be judgmental.
And I'm guilty of judging. I'm guilty of being
We all are.
a young CEO, naive, oblivious, thinking, these guys don't have any hope.
No, it's human nature.
Right.
And we also have egos that want to go, oh, I'm better than that person.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
But the racial thing in there is what, I don't know how to suck that out of this society. That's what's going on in this country now. There's a bunch of scared old white people that know that the fucking end is near. But as far as administration, let me tell you the biggest hell I went through in the Department of Corrections and saw the lies and the bullshit. I was on what they call the MAC committee, Men's Advisory Council.
The MAC. They now call it IAC to be more gender neutral.
Okay.
Inmate Advisory Council.
So I got voted, and this is on the 2-yard in Tehachapi. This is after I got on my first term. I'm back for second or third term. I broke my leg.
In prison?
No, I was running from the cops.
Okay.
Whatever. So I've got a cast up to my nuts almost. I'm on a 2-yard in Tehachapi, healing, going out for appointments or whatever. White boys came to me and they go, hey, you got a mouth on you. Will you be our MAC guy? And at that time, you weren't looked at as a rat, but somebody had to fucking be able to sit down with
Right,
you,
right.
Be the conduit. So
So for the viewers out there, a MAC rep is the liaison, an inmate who speaks to the administration and they relay information back to the inmate population.
exactly, any complaints that the inmates have, we bring them to the administration, and the administration comes to us and goes, okay, well, maybe
The
this
middleman.
one. And we always get lied to. So,
Well, we always get lied to.
right, everybody gets lied to. So I'm on the MAC committee, and I'm going back and forth to doctor's appointments. So they're taking me to Bakersfield or whatever, Tehachapi Hospital, some shit. But I got 2 CCOPA guys, unbeknownst to me. Now, my dorm cop is the head of the CCPOA for that region or whatever, James Beard. So I don't know I'm riding with CCPOA guys. And they're talking about, and they don't know that I'm on the MAC committee. This is a transportation crew that, they're not in the facility normally. So they're talking, at that time, we used to have telephone booths out on the yard at Tehachapi. And but you had to go out and freeze in the rain.
For the inmates?
For the inmates.
Okay, I didn't know that.
We used to have we had to sign up and all this
didn't know that.
bullshit. So we had like 4 phone booths.
Not in the building as well?
Not in the building.
Holy
This is
shit.
pre that. This is what I'm getting to. This is the crossover of that. So the phones are on the yard. They've now moved them into the units, the ones like you see, the blue with the whatever. But they're not on yet. I'm sorry, no, they'd been on for a week.
Okay.
They'd been on for a week. And the line cops that were working the dorms were going, fuck this. How am I supposed to look at a dorm of 150 people and monitor phone calls at the same time?
Correct.
Can't do that. And this is when they first started double bunking. It wasn't really overcrowded. They just put double bunks in. So I'm going to the hospital, and these 2 cops are going, man, these guys are fucked tonight. He goes, we got it. They're turning those phones off at 5 o'clock until they figure out a way to monitor the phones, an automated monitoring system. And this had been going on, I guess, for a couple of MAC meetings. What are they going to do? Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
So I know out of the horse's mouth now that those phones are going off at 5 o'clock. Well, my dumb ass gets back from the doctor, and we had a MAC meeting at 2 o'clock. And one of the guys asked the warden or associate warden, hey, and I'm short, by the way, at this time. I got like 90 days left. Hey, what's going on with the phones? Oh, everything's fine. And I said, well, I don't think it is. I said, I just went out to a hospital transport with Joe and Blow, whatever the fuck their names were. And they told me the phones are going off at 5 o'clock. And the warden looked at the cop in the room. He said, hook him up, take him to the hole.
What the fuck?
Right there, straight to the hole. I go to the hole. What am I here for? Am I going to get a 115? I went to a couple of committee things. I'm short. They don't want me out on the yard. They think I'm a rabble-rouser and I'm going to create whatever. So, divide and conquer. That's how they...
Was it instant? You said what you said, and he said...
Instant.
Put him in cuffs, take him to the hole.
Instant. Yeah. Last words came out other than fuck you on my way out the door to them. And they did shut off the phones. So now I'm in the hole. And I got you know what a chrono is. I was supposed to get medical credit for the time I was in the hospital, all this shit. They're trying to compute my release date. Well, I've computed it, had a couple other people and a counselor compute it. And my release date's supposed to be, let's say, day after tomorrow. I go to a committee, and they say, I say, hey, my release date, what's going on? It's supposed to be in 2 days. Oh, no, you're not getting those credits. We can't find the chrono. I had a copy of it, a Xerox copy of it. So they said, you were a clerk. You evidently forged the chrono that you submitted with your 602 or whatever. 602 is an appeal form, the way you appeal to staff. They go, that doesn't exist. You got at least another 90 days or whatever the case may be.
Jesus.
And I said, well, you know what? I didn't forge that fucking thing. I know it's a legitimate chrono. It was in my C file. And as of tomorrow, Oh, I'm sorry. As of my release date, I no longer recognize you people. I'm not going to listen to a fucking word you say. I'm going to throw your food back at you. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm being held hostage.
Were you being confident, a smart ass, or were you?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I hated this fucking war. It's the same warden that put me in the hole. That happened to show up to my shit. You know what I mean? Wardens don't come to committee meetings. So James Beard, this CCPOA guy, now my C files is big, okay? So Beard, he's in there while we're having this meeting, and I'm arguing, and oh, wait a minute, no, that was the last one. So I go on the hunger strike. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. I go on the hunger strike, and every time a cop would come by, I'm doing push-ups and sit-ups, telling them I'm a hog, and I'm not cheating. I am not fucking cheating. I had cops try to come through at Tehachapi. There was a catwalk in the back, and they could open up, give you your mail or your groceries or whatever. I had cops try to give me food, and I wouldn't eat it.
They had access to the back of a cell from a catwalk?
Yeah, imagine here's a tier. There's the cell bars. Tiers here. Cells are here. Behind it, where they work on the toilets and everything, there's a catwalk.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's on level 2 on Tehachapi.
And what is there, a slot?
No, there's a big square door.
Okay.
Probably a foot by a foot by a foot that they could open up, and that's how they give you your mail.
What are they locked with? Like a padlock?
They lock it on the back. I have no idea.
Backside. That's weird.
But that's how they would hand you mail or or when you got your canteen or whatever.
Okay.
So, and that's where I had another cop whisper to me, "Hey, we got the meeting outside." So anyway, so I go on this hunger strike, and then I get other guys were writing identical 602s over yard and this and this. So now they say, "Oh, you're going to raise hell in the hole too." Now they put me in a quiet rubber room in the hospital with just a hole in the floor.
In the CTC in the infirmary?
In the CDC infirmary at Tehachapi, level 2 yard. So they throw me in there, and fuck, now I've got like a beard. I already had long hair. I look like Jesus Christ or whatever, Charlie Manson. So I'm in this rubber room, and I had this one cop that used to work on my unit. When he worked overtime, he would say, "Bro, you got to eat, man. You got to eat. You're going to end up killing yourself." And they're coming and taking my weight and my blood pressure and everything every day. I'm not going to fucking do it. Day 26, I go to committee. Now, I'm overdue for parole by 26 days right now. And this is because I told the warden to fuck the whole phone thing. So I go to committee, and this is a special one. They got doctors, psychiatrists, and all this bullshit in there, right? And that's when the CCPOA guy, James Beard, who was my unit cop, he starts going through my C-file. And again, because it's so fucking big, and the chrono was put in there 18 months ago, a medical chrono, give me the time credit or whatever. Beard goes like this. It was a 2-page chrono. So it was taped together, and it was old-fashioned Scotch tape, real sticky shit. Beard pulls the chrono apart. It had been in the C-file the whole fucking time. They didn't take it out. They just didn't realize it was stuck behind, one of the cardboard dividers in the C-file. He pulls it back, and he goes, "Brom, is this the chrono?" And this is the yellow one. This is the OG one with the typewriter. And I go, "Yes." And then I had my little paperwork, and it's the identical copy. And I go, "See, you fucking creep," I told the warden. I said, I didn't do shit wrong. I didn't forge anything. All right. Take me out, put me. Now they move me all the way to the end of the tier, and they left 3-cell gap because they don't want me, whatever. Count time comes. All of a sudden, you hear chains on the tier. And they're bringing me a red jumpsuit, and I got a 3-man transportation team coming to get me. They come to pull me out. I said, "Fuck you guys, man." I said, "Where am I going?" They said, "Come out of the cell." They beat the fuck out of me, hog tie me. They do this during count time. They pull the van up right to the door of the hole so they can throw, because the dorms are right here. My dorm actually is right there, and you could look out the window and see.
Oh shit!
So they threw me into the van during count. Right, everybody's on their bunk. They can't even look out the fucking window. but they throw me in long ways. And like I'm on my face in between the seats. And back in those days, there's bugler and cigarettes all over the floor. And I fall asleep. I wake up and I look, and I know I'm in a telephone pole facility. You know what I mean by that? The long hallways like Chino and
Okay.
versus the 180s and everything you guys got now. So I'm thinking, I'm at Tracy. No, I'm at Vacaville. CMF. 2:30 in the morning. Long hair. I look like a crazy motherfucker, like I'm a 5150. If you can judge people, it goes to the whole judgment thing.
Okay.
We get to R&R. The cops have chicken shit manila file folder with one piece of a transportation order. They hand it to the sergeant, and they go, he's a 5150. We're going to go park the van. They didn't go park the van. They left.
Okay.
They just split out of the facility. So after about 20 minutes, gorgeous Hispanic sergeant comes over, and she goes, I don't know what's going on, but I don't believe them. So you're the one that's going to tell me the story. But I want you to eat. I said, I'm going to tell you the story. If you believe my story, that I'll eat. So I told her, and she goes, oh, my fucking God. Because it was just one prison throwing their shit over to someone else.
That does happen.
Yeah.
It does happen.
They just, now, but they put me in a psych ward because that's all she had. Like, technically, she said, we're going to get this worked out in the morning, da-da-da-da. When, administrators come in, they put me in a psych ward. And may God strike me dead. The idiot next to me, they're passing out meds and breakfast or whatever. He cut his cock off and handed it to the nurse.
I don't mean to cut you off on the cutting the cock off part, but at any point prior to that, did you make any suicidal ideations?
None.
Okay.
Never.
Homicidal ideations?
No. Nothing. I was just, I could have a conversation with the administration. They didn't like that.
Correct.
They don't like any MAC guys. The MAC guys, when you have some political influence amongst the inmates, especially every race of inmates, they don't like that at all.
They actually don't like correctional officers either, believe it or not.
Oh, I know they don't. Oh, I know. Oh, come on. That was a correctional officer that saved my life.
Yeah.
And the warden was on a cane. When Beard did that, the warden took his cane and hit the C-file, like to shut it. But anyway, I get up there and I go to the whatever, and I go to a couple of committees, and finally an appellate guy comes down. It took about a week and a half still. Oh, because my C-file was lost because they never sent enough from Tehachapi. Anyway, finally they did an immediate release. But I
immediately released from CMF to parole?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like this. I was out on the yard. They paged me.
Dang.
I go into this room. There's an appellate guy from Sacramento. I want him released immediately. Within an hour, I was out the door.
So you made a comparison between CCPOA and immigration detention centers. Can you elaborate what you meant by that?
Well, you mean what's going on today?
Correct.
Watch the stock for GEO. Watch the stock for the prison, private prison corporation.
Break it down for us.
Well, at the end of the day, there's 2 or 3 private. I think Walking Hut is one, and GEO's another one. They're private prison corporations. So the evolution of this money-making shit, it's absolutely fucking genius if you're on the money end of it. Because now they build these substandard prison facilities, and they don't have to hire $145,000 a year CDC officers. They can pay them $9 an hour in Kentucky or wherever they put these facilities. So we look with Reagan shutting the mental hospitals down, to the growth of the CDC, to now creating this whole prison industry nationwide. And how are we going to fill it? We're going to get everybody that's got a tan darker than me and throw them in there and let them fight their ways out and prove their way. It's the bigger monster.
And pay people $9 an hour to watch it.
And pay them $9 an hour to watch it, but pay GEO $400 a day per head.
Facts.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Substandard food. Again, the vendors make all the money, and I'm talking too much.
So is it really that they're that genius at the top, or that they're that dumb at the bottom and they refuse to accept reality or open their eyes to what's going on, or the perfect storm.
You mean the people at the bottom are too stupid to realize what's going on?
Eventually, at the bottom, you got to say, wait a minute, man, we got to stop fighting each other down here because they're capitalizing off of us.
Absolutely.
They're capitalizing off of us.
Yes. And that's where, well, I tell a story about a dope debt. My last day in state prison before I went to the feds. I used to try to tell people, you guys really want to riot over, you want to get your 19-year-old homeboy who's in there for 3 years for a GTA, you want to put a knife in his hand so he can throw his life away because you were dumb enough to front somebody $400 worth of speed? So it had to, and we had some adults on that yard. But yeah, but how do we educate the masses out here not to go there?
Podcast.
Okay, now this isn't you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
People like you talking.
And the big homies that are respected need to, every convict says, oh, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to help kids. Yeah, well, it sounds good at a parole hearing, okay? And some do. I got a buddy of mine. I got a buddy of mine do. And there are some that are. But those guys are the ones that should be at the parks and at the gyms and at whatever.
You even got active members that have the will to do the right thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely you do. I used to talk to and because they're active, but in retrospect, they realize they're not gonna become no good.
Correct.
But they also are like, wow, this really is not the right road.
Correct.
And I don't want to see my little homies,
correct,
my cousins, my brothers, my nephews, get into this life.
Yep.
Because it just gets worse. It doesn't get. It's going to get worse.
Facts.
And with the politicians we have running this country now, the laws are going to become more draconian.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a system that feeds upon itself, and it's disgusting.
Draconian laws, politicians, lies, exposures, social media. Which way do you see the direction going after 2025? For a long time, mainstream media had us by the balls until we realized.
Oh, right. No, you guys, podcasters have broke out. This is the medium, okay? And it's the medium where truth can be told. And so what can happen is guys like you, ex-cops that know what's going on, ex-cons that know what's going on, go to these, I don't even know if they have, but these town halls and say, hey, you're a lying motherfucker.
Facts.
You're a thief. It's just like the media today. Whenever they get the orange dude up there, why don't they just go, you're lying, dude? We all know you're full of shit. Well, from Trump down, that's the way this country is run. It's been run by robber barons and thieves, or a friggin'
but it's not just Trump. We had Biden right before him.
Oh, yeah, they're all bad.
Obama before him.
They're all bad, but those two did not try to get rid of the Constitution and everything. I mean, they're all thieves. Don't get me wrong. This country.
Dick Cheney.
Oh, my God, he's a monster. They call him Darth Vader. No, our political structure is so it's so entwined in capital, and it's not even capitalism; it's autocracy, where you have all these billionaires calling shots. And I laugh. I work around a bunch of multimillionaires, and I laugh at them, and I go, "Do you think you're hot shit? But you couldn't even cut the grass at Jeff Bezos' fucking house. There's literally a difference between guys that are multimillionaires and billionaires.
Facts. As it relates to Rome and corrupt politics, what are the similarities?
Well, we'd probably be in the Caligula time. I don't know. No, we are going to be a bigger. Okay, I'm sorry.
Because that's how Rome fell.
I lost it. That's exactly how it's going to fall. And we are going to be a bigger joke than the Roman Empire.
Why is that?
Because we are going to implode. And I think, I'm 65. The next 20 years, that this country is going to be, we're not going to recognize it. If I was to live, I won't recognize what America is in 20 years because we are that far away. What's going on right now? And again, we can take this local politics, CDC politics. They're all full of shit.
No, we look at war. We look overseas.
Absolutely.
We look at China.
We're a military and
Russia. Now the cartels in Mexico.
Yeah.
Venezuela.
Well, that's where. Let me tell you something. And that's where that little creep Pete Hegseth is stepping on his dick.
Why do you say that?
Because he doesn't understand that there are cartel guys in this country right fucking now.
There are.
And pistoleros or sicarios.
Yeah.
He's got no idea what he's doing.
Correct. But
And how fucking, I don't think he's seen someone with their own dick in their mouth and their leg shoved up their ass.
no, I think like you think, right? But how far are the cartels willing to actually go in America?
Well, the
Realistically.
thing is, they don't have to go that far in America because he wants to bring the war down there.
Okay.
But would they go deep here?
Would they?
Probably not in this decade. But again, I totally believe what's going on in this country as an old white man is that old white people that have been running this country since 17 whatever, they came over here and did the atrocities they did. They know they're losing a grip on everything.
Facts.
They know that by 2035, white ain't going to be the majority anymore. And they know what horrendous shit they have done
Facts.
to minorities and poor. And you know what? I can't remember who said this. Poor is a minority. In other words, you can be white poor, black poor, any color poor.
But what about the people like Kamala, AOC, lying to the minorities?
Well, they got their own. I think once you become a politician, it's almost like, I believe, once you become a billionaire, you get pulled aside and go, hey, dude, this is the way it really works. I think once you become a politician and you see how it works and you see that, yeah, you're going to make $140 a year, but you can also get a free jet over here. And by the way, you should invest in on-air stock. And the corruption is just absolute. And AOC, coming from her background, didn't see a lot of money. I think she's legitimate as far as some of her beliefs as far as how to better society are there. But she's got stars in her eyes now and thinks she could potentially run for president and all the bennies that come from that. No, the left is fucked. The bottom, okay, here it is. They don't even really matter. They're the same thing.
Correct.
They're the same thing. And the people in this country are the ones that have to rise up. The people in this country are the ones that are going to have to say, no, fuck you. Because the amount of people that are being screwed in this country of every economic level need to just say no more.
Correct.
We're tired of the lies. We're tired of being ripped off. We're tired of spending billions of dollars on a military, on planes. You know the first B-1 bomber, they had to put it on a fucking boat to take it to the France air show because they were afraid it couldn't fly across the Atlantic Ocean.
But
the
let's
military
agree.
industrial complex.
Let's agree that the reason they do not do it is for two reasons. One, they refuse to be united and unite against the cause. And two, cowardice.
Well, it's cowardice, but it's also comfort. You know, we're all.
Well, that's part of the cowardice to me.
Absolutely. When you become middle class, once you've got that house and the pool and, a couple of kids, and the couch feels kind of good. You got the 80-inch fucking TV. Now it's like, oh, you want to go raise hell? They're protesting this week. Nah, I got it good. And those are not just the cowardice, but they're the fucking dumbasses.
The sheep.
That don't realize they are just that far away.
The sheep.
From being a victim, and they are absolutely sheep.
Facts.
And that's the way that's the way we've kept, here, okay.
It's like the Roman Colosseum when they would have fights. They would
Sure.
do it to put on entertainment for the public.
Exactly.
While the politicians did their dirt behind the scenes.
While the NFL and the NBA and the Dodgers were doing their thing, and the UFC and everything else. No, we've managed to anesthetize the majority of society that votes and has some kind of economic pull.
What did COVID open your eyes to? The whole fiasco, the whole.
Oh, sheep. How just easily we could be told anything and not question it.
Oof.
And just shut down a fucking society.
You know what scared me was when society started to turn on each other. Oh, you're not wearing a mask.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And the guy that says you're not wearing a mask has no more fucking information than the schmuck wearing.
Facts. Or probably less information. Facts.
And we still don't know. I mean, Yeah, it came out of a goddamn place in China. Okay, that makes sense. That's what it happened. We know Fauci was full of shit. We know they were doing a.
I'm enjoying this conversation with you, man. These are fucking intellectual, real life problems. Now let's jump right into Narcan and the homeless epidemic and drugs and fentanyl. How do you view that?
What is fentanyl? Back in the days, like, again, I was raised in the 60s. And in every ghetto or every economically depressed neighborhood, there was a fucking liquor store on every corner. You want to keep, just like you want to keep the middle class anesthetized watching their baseball in their fucking Barca lounger. Well, the poor, you don't want them to fucking rise up. So let's just anesthetize them, and let's make sure there's enough fentanyl on the streets to. It also feeds the prison system. Okay, it's a twofer. So we're just keeping them anesthetized so they don't ever wake up and go, wait a minute, why am I like this? And why, what's the man doing? So fentanyl is the 80-inch TV and the Barca lounger, and it's also a feeder to incarcerate people, et cetera. And it's being done on purpose. Absolutely. I mean, come on. But what's the saying? If we can't get a Cuban cigar, how the fuck is all this fentanyl getting in the country? We could stop it if we wanted to. You don't want to. There's too much money in this. Everybody makes. Come on, Clinton was making money off of this crap. We were funding the Contras or whichever one it was, off the cocaine sales. We want a portion of society drunk, high, out of their fucking minds, so we can do whatever the hell we want to do. So you have that. Okay, so here, as we're talking, so you got that portion. Then you got the other middle-class cowards you talk about. So now you got 70% of the country.
I actually have more hate towards that middle class because they should know better.
Absolutely. They're educated, and they... Now, my God, did you watch 60 Minutes? What they did on 60 Minutes?
I did not.
You can't even trust them anymore. I mean, the American media is bad, but they went over. They jumped the shark on Sunday night. But no, the podcast. How do we fix it? What's the solution? Is this? And I was just. I thank you for saying you like this conversation. I was at a restaurant with some friends 3-4 nights ago. And we started talking about society and what we're talking about. And this guy goes, I never have conversations like this. He goes, when I sit around with my friends or whatever, we talk about, I go, well, the next time you're sitting around with your friends, why don't you start that fucking conversation instead of talking about Kim's ass,
right?
Or however many points somebody else got. But
we're a small few handful, man. I've been on the internet for 3 years. I've gotten the feel for the world through this lens and through this experience. That we're a small handful of people that are actually awake.
Right. And this is the only way to wake them. And the thing is, now, how do you get the eyes?
Well, I think, and then again, this is new for us, right? Podcast. It might take decades, centuries to force that change.
Right.
And I got a daughter, the next generation to come to realize, yeah, these two old guys talking are telling the truth. These guys are full of shit over here.
And I think that's spasm. Literally, I think.
Damn, bro, don't die. I don't got insurance, man. I would have dragged your ass out to the street.
I was just thinking.
Call 911 for you, man.
Thinking too much. It's just got to be the constant beat of the drum of calling out the liars.
Correct.
And calling out the liars. And I don't know how to, because this crap's monitored all the time.
Oh,
and
Alexa,
the algorithms.
Google.
Oh, yeah. But I think this medium that you're doing is going to be to the betterment of society. I really do.
What have we covered, man? We've covered CDC, CCPOA, Narcan, the judicial system, private prisons. Okay, here's the next good juicy question. When it comes to the people, right? The people are the people, man. They watch the show. The other day, I interviewed Alex Villanueva. He is a former sheriff of Los Angeles, and he is running again for Los Angeles.
Villanueva, the sheriff or the
Correct.
mayor?
No, the sheriff.
Okay, okay.
The sheriff. I don't know if I said mayor. My bad. So, anyways, right now we have Sheriff Luna, who is the sheriff of Los Angeles, right? And I go and I interview and I ask the questions that I ask, and people are up in arms like, fuck that guy. That guy's a crook. That guy's corrupt. That guy is the leader of the bandito, deputy gang, sheriff gang. And I'm like, look, motherfuckers, we don't have many options here.
Right.
How do you view it, man? That like, hey, you have the public. It is what it is. It's groupthink. I think you know what groupthink
Absolutely.
is. It's the herd mentality.
Yeah.
What has to change, or what has to shift, or are people just
At the
going to
sheriff's department?
When it comes to reality, being a realist, man, I don't think Alex Villanueva is a bad choice for sheriff. Right? That puts all political things aside.
I don't know enough about him.
Okay.
But I know enough about the department.
Right.
That it is filthier and scummier. The only thing maybe worse is LAPD. But I watched, I mean, the upper echelons of the sheriff's department.
I'm glad you fucking clarified that, though, because for you to say LAPD is fucking dirty, I hate to mix in the young cops at the bottom that have absolutely nothing to do with the dirt.
And they come in and they are either on this side and you're a homie and you're not going to fucking rat about anything you see, or all of a sudden you're ostracized and you're out.
So let's agree. The majority of law enforcement agencies are corrupt and rotten at the top.
At the top. Absolutely. Sherman Block was. Before that, Peter Pitches, the guy they named Pitches, whatever, he went to fucking Nazi Germany to figure out how to build jails. I used to watch guys back in the day, the sheriffs in LA County Jail, and any OG will tell you that, they used to carry flashlights that were 4 feet long, shoved with lead. Fuck batteries. They were just for beating people with. And then it grew into what we talked about a little while ago, in the gang modules. When 1700, 1750 got overfilled, then they created the whole gang floor. It used to be 3,000 floor. I don't know what it is now. And these were the gang members' brothers that were wearing badges, that were setting up fights. I mean, we used to, we would just tell the cops, hey, do a search so we could all get in the day room, because we all knew how to get her out of our handcuffs. So we would literally tell the cop, go ahead, search your fucking tier, because homeboy's getting fucked off. And it was literally the brother, cousin, homeboy of the shot caller for that module. I mean, there were Crips, Bloods, and Hispanic gang member deputies.
So for the last hour and a half, we've had an intellectual conversation, like two.
I would like to think so.
Yeah, like two prestige gentlemen, right? But we have been talking about law enforcement, prison, and jail. You're talking about big 4-foot fucking magazines that used to beat people's asses, right? Now, what is your thought in how old you are right now and your experiences and knowing the reality of life and criminals and violence? How necessary is violence in prison to subdue violent people?
Well, that's why the classification, I don't know how well it is. There are some people, and you've seen them, and I've seen them, and you see that look, and there's not a fucking thing there but absolute badass, violent motherfucker that just, it's a feeling. They've got this aura, and now that's the type of person you may have to get extremely violent with. Violence begets violence, and the other way, you got to be able to overcome it.
Thank you.
So obviously there's a need, but once the person's subdued, but see, this is a whole human nature thing. You can't. I tell you, the Rodney King. Let me give the best example: the Rodney King thing. There's a thing that we have as men, as human beings, called fight or flight.
Correct.
You watch that fucking video, and you tell me that you as a man, after being beaten like that, would not have continued to try to get the fuck away, okay, or fight off your attackers, because those cops were simply beating somebody for kicks. So it was a flight or fight. He wasn't resisting. He was trying to stop from being killed.
I'll be 100% honest with you. I have never fully, thoroughly seen the footage from start to
You gotta
finish
watch
in
it.
its entirety, but I am going to watch it from the lens of, is this
Yeah.
dude engaging in the fight or flight mentality? Because I am very familiar with the fight or flight mentality.
Absolutely. And so I think, but then I said human nature gets involved. So you're a CEO and you got some fucking Adam Henry that you're fucking with, but he spit on you. Or he, he gassed you at some, gas means throwing shit. He gassed you at some point in another part of your career, on another yard. You, as a human being, want to fuck that dude up.
100%.
And now he did something stupid and you can take your fucking shots.
Correct.
Of course you're going to do it.
Correct.
Any human being would do it.
Good.
But when it becomes the gang mentality, you got to remember, I was also, when I was a clerk in a level 3. And I used to fucking watch guys all get together after they stomped the fuck out of someone and get their lies straight. And then I'd have to type up the shit. And that happened
Dude.
all the time.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna make me break out in sweat, bro. Not that I agree or disagree. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one.
Yeah, well, no,
but I hear what the hell you're saying.
But you
bro.
know what, though? You guys as cops are thrown in that environment. We're in that
No,
environment.
you're not lying, bro.
It's shit, and we're men.
Yeah,
and
we're men.
shit's
We're men.
just gonna fucking happen, you know.
Wow.
And you can't. Okay.
Wow.
You said how far are we?
You know,
from
that's
being,
a fuck. Tell me how that makes you feel as a clerk and you're listening to this and you have to type it up and because
the manipulator in me. All I was doing was going, okay, I got you. Hey, Gonzalez, check this out, man.
okay,
Go
the
give me
manipulator,
go give me a sheet of fucking whatever.
Because there was times where I would tell the clerks they get out,
Yeah.
right? Because I didn't want them to see
Sure.
nothing.
Yeah.
But damn, dude, that's intense.
Yeah. No, I've watched a murder go down.
No, not on this show we did it. But go
Yeah.
ahead. No, we didn't.
But no, again, this comes down to we're in this potentially extremely volatile, violent environment. And when it comes down to confrontation, that's when the primal animal of us comes out.
Facts, dude.
And you're going to fight or you're going to defend yourself until you can't. And as long as that struggle is going on. But when you got a situation where you got the guy restrained and everybody keeps putting boots on him, again, if it's one guy doing it because he's the guy that got gassed, fine. But when you have that herd mentality of 7 cops just stomping the shit out of somebody because they can, well, fuck every one of them. Because those guys that don't have the heart on for him, those are the pussies.
Right. How detrimental is the herd mentality? How bad is it whether you're a child in elementary with the wrong crowd, whether you're a law enforcement officer following the herd, or whether you're a gang member following the herd? How bad can that be?
If you are not an alpha male and you don't have whatever, the courage or whatever, it could be terrible.
Facts.
It could be absolutely terrible. And, fortunately, some people are alphas. I mean, you got to have alpha, beta. You got to have both. But the herd mentality on betas is life-changing, life-threatening.
Because they almost think that they're alphas as a whole.
Yeah, by association.
But they're definitely not.
Absolutely not. I'm like, come on, dude. You were a fucking lieutenant. How many times did you get somebody off a yard that walked around like they were fucking the most macho motherfucker in the world of any race and just go, oh, Lieutenant Bravo, just get me the fuck out of here. I'm done. Because you're living at a stress level.
Yeah,
like
when
this.
you're done, you're done. I hear you.
And then, he's got the phones.
Right.
And by the way, the nurse, she's the one bringing in the fucking tobacco.
Correct, 100%.
Just let me go to CMC West.
100%. 100%, man.
Right?
Yeah. Dude, I appreciated this conversation for real, man. It was a fucking in-depth, dude.
Oh, good.
What do you do now? You have any plugs you want to plug in, or anybody can reach out to you and interview you?
You got my name, Scott Brome. I don't have any social media. If you Google me, you can find me. Let me put it that way. I'm in a public-facing company business that I own right now. I managed to, after doing life on the installment plan at 53, come out and kind of make a new life for myself. Utilizing a lot of the skills that I learned incarcerated. Okay, a prison is a microcosm of probably the world
Facts.
to some extent. But no, I'm not plugging anything. I've been asked to do podcasts, and I didn't want to do it. And
I'm glad you opted to do this one, dude.
So am I. Well, there was something about you and the way you carry yourself, and you were interviewing that white boy.
Which one? Oh, the tall
big,
guy.
tall
Yeah,
white
he was
boy.
like, I forgot how
6'7"
tall,
or
6'9" or some shit. Yeah, that one got over 100,000 views, man. Everybody liked that guy.
No, he was amazing. He was, unlike me, he was of little words.
No, both of you guys are like mentally up there, dude. I can tell. Bro, we can read people.
Absolutely.
Emotional intelligence.
And that's how you survive. I tell people all the time, the one cat before, because I know I'm going too long, is in prison, if you ever see the movie Terminator, the first one, when his face has been ripped off and he's looking and it's threat or non-threat.
Right.
And you can see the calculations. Well, when you're a dude in a extremely dude environment, when you come on a new yard and you're doing your fucking first laps, threat, non-threat, bitch, threat, non-threat, actor. You know what I mean? And you feel out, and then you know who the alphas are. Okay, this guy's potentially a fucking problem. And then you know who the guys, the nut jobs, the 5150s, you know? So.
Well, hopefully we're doing the Lord's work, man. Hopefully our word has changed people's lives and force that change.
Absolutely, I hope so.
I want to thank you for driving down here, man, and sitting with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Hector. And you are doing God's work.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, there you guys have it, folks. Another banger for you guys, man. Changing the world one episode at a time. If you like what you saw, make sure you hit that link in the description. Love you. Keep pushing forward.
Unhinged mind, Hector's legend engraved. Living life raw, never been tamed. From the hood to the pen, truth and tales pen. Hector Bravo unhinged, story never ends.